Sometimes I feel like it's a blessing and maybe slightly a curse with the way my mind works as it pertains to certain commentaries that I do, because of the way that I can formulate almost like a script in my head before I actually get behind my microphone and press this record button like I'm doing right now. Now, yesterday, from the time of me recording this video, I sent Town Biz, because we communicate pretty regularly, this article. I don't know if it was this one right here or not, but I had asked him, did you hear what MAGA had to say about Caitlin Clark? And he said no. And I sent him an article. Again, I don't know if it was this one or another one. And he ended up doing a commentary on it, and literally I just left it alone. And then I don't know what happened. I think I just saw that Kid Gravity is going to talk about it in a live. Of course, by the time y'all see this, he would have already gone live and talked about it. And on my way home from the gym, I'm literally formulating the script in my head of what I'm going to say, even before I'm sitting here right now at my computer desk in front of this microphone to say what it is I have to say before I even read one word of the article, just going based off of the title. And I say that because we've been here before, just not with Caitlin Clark. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get into that in a little bit later, but let's just start where we are right now. WNBA star Caitlin Clark explains why she liked Taylor Swift's post endorsing Kamala Harris. Now, if y'all are unaware, it became official that Taylor Swift ended up officially endorsing Kamala Harris in her presidential run. And we all know that, Taylor Swift is one of the biggest stars, whether you don't like her or if you do like her or whatever the case may be. You just can't deny that she is one of the biggest stars on the planet right now. And that probably was a huge boost for Kamala Harris in a way. So what happens when a person like Caitlin Clark, who they have propped up, and by they, I'm talking about them over there, I didn't prop her up. When they prop her up as the face of the WNBA, and she does not endorse Donald Trump or like a post about him from somebody else, or just a post of his, but she ends up liking a post from Taylor Swift endorsing Kamala Harris, that gets them gets them their panties in a bunch. And I'm not surprised by that. And the reason why I say that, when I say we've been here before, is if y'all remember, let's go back about a month and a half ago, and I spoke about this with Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse decided that he was going to put a post out there saying in so many words that he was not going to support Donald Trump because of his stance on the Second Amendment and some other things. And man, they dragged him to hell and back a few times because he even said that. And then within 12 hours, not even a whole 24 hours later, he came right back online and said, oh, you know what, I was misinformed, I misspoke, take back everything that I said, forget I even said it, I now support Donald Trump. And then they came right back around and said, oh, okay, thank you, glad you came to your senses, Kyle, don't let it happen again. A lot of people think that Kyle got a check slid his way, or he was probably worried that he was going to lose any kind of financial incentives that he was getting, not in the same tone as he was getting initially when he did what he did back in 2021. Now that brings us to Caitlin Clark. We told y'all about who her fans are. I just recently did a video where they took a picture of the face of this black WNBA player, her name escapes me right now, and put it on George Floyd's body while he was getting the knee on his neck from Derek Chauvin, and then put Caitlin Clark's face on Derek Chauvin. These are her so-called fans right here that are at play here. These are the same exact fans that we have basically known them to be. I told you most of her fans are probably a bunch of damn Trump supporters. At the very least, we know that they are very staunchly anti-black. That's pretty damn obvious from the way that they carry on when it comes to her going against other black WNBA players, especially Angel Reese. And that goes back to last year when they were competing in the NCAA tournament in the championship, when Angel Reese did the "You Can't See Me" to her basically as a response to Caitlin Clark for what she did to one of Angel Reese's friends, who happens to also be a black basketball player. So we know how this goes. We know exactly how this goes. But I'm going to read this article, and I'm going to actually then say something that has to be said as it pertains to Caitlin Clark. It says WNBA star Caitlin Clark hinted at her political beliefs ahead of this year's U.S. election by liking a social media post from Taylor Swift endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris, but she stopped short of endorsing a candidate when asked by reporters on Wednesday. On Tuesday, Swift ended speculation about whether she would endorse a particular candidate ahead of November's election by telling her Instagram followers that she would be voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Clark was one of more than 10 million people to like this post, but stopped short of formally endorsing Harris herself. Now see, it says right there she just simply liked the post. She didn't say she was endorsing her, but her base saw it as, oh, you're liking this post by Taylor Swift saying you're endorsing, that she's endorsing Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. So by you liking that post, that means by default you must be endorsing her too, even though she never came out and said she was endorsed. They just saw that and took it that way. Keep a pin in that, what I'm saying, because it's, like I said, it's something I have to say about her and about both political spheres when it comes to things like this. That's the biggest thing I can do with the platform that I have, and that's the same thing Taylor Swift did. Continue to educate yourself on the candidates that we have, the policies that they're supporting. I think that's the biggest thing you can do, and that's what I would recommend to every single person that has the opportunity in our country. Since bursting into the WNBA following her remarkable college career, Clark has had to navigate the challenges that come with being an influential figure. Earlier this year, the 22-year-old said it was disappointing to see people using her name to push their own agendas, especially when it comes to racism and misogyny. Now, it's crazy that she says that right here, but when she was asked in an interview months later, and this was after she was already in the WNBA, her tone was slightly different. If y'all go back and look at the live stream that I did about Caitlin Clark back in July when they was all upset because she didn't make the U.S. women's team, listen to the response that she gave when it came to talking about her fans and the stuff that they say. It's very different from this response that's given here. That's why this response caught me off guard. And now it says earlier this year, so that's before she got drafted into the WNBA. This is when she was still playing in college. This, though, appears to be the first indication of Clark's political leanings ahead of the presidential election. The WNBA and its players have regularly engaged with societal and political issues. At this year's Olympic Games in Paris, Team USA women's basketball team emphasized their endorsement of Harris's presidential bid before going on to win gold in a dramatic final against France. Women's basketball players have also had influential voices in key elections before. In 2020, the Atlanta Dream protested against the team's then co-owner, then Senator Kelly Loeffler, who was running for re-election against Reverend Raphael Warnock over her opposition to the Black Lives Matter movement. That race ended up going to a runoff, and Warnock defeated Loeffler. He's now serving as a senator from Georgia. So there's the article right there. Now remember what I said, there was two things that I wanted to mention. The first thing is, Caitlin Clark, you cannot deny anything now that your fans, so-called fans, are from a particular group, or at least from a political standpoint, of a certain political group, and it's definitely that MAGA crowd. Listen, we have seen so many nasty, disgusting, anti-black comments from them over the last year, whether it's directed sometimes at us, but mainly at those black WNBA players, but more so than anyone, Angel Reese. That's why when Angel Reese had got her injury, I didn't even bother going on X to see what they had to say about her, because I already know in the back of my mind what they had to say, and I bet none of them was saying get well or feel better, rest up and come back for year two. Now what shocked me, however, was because I follow Angel Reese on her Instagram, I didn't see none of those comments there on her Instagram. But I'm telling you, X and Instagram are like polar opposites. You'll have some trolls on Instagram for sure. You'll have trolls anywhere. But X, that's a whole nother monster that you're dealing with right there. So Caitlin Clark, you can't say you don't see what your fans are saying, because now it's being directed at you. Now they're telling you how they feel. Remember, going back to what with Kyle Rittenhouse, now she might end up losing some support. Honestly, the support was fake anyway. They weren't real fans. They up there talking about, oh, she's the Larry Bird, or she's the Steph Curry, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Of what? Let her get established first before you start putting labels onto her that she doesn't deserve or has earned. Now, the next part that I wanted to also mention as it pertains to this is that this shows without the shadow of a doubt and more proof that both political spectrums are exactly the same. Their delivery, however, is very different. When you don't support a particular person that they want, then they completely shun you or become cold towards you. Now, look at what happened when I talked about how Joy Behar became real cold towards Usher when he said what he said, and he didn't even say I support Fort Trump or anything like that. It's the fact that he told people to do their research and their due diligence before picking a candidate that they didn't like, because they can't get inside of people's heads and they don't like that. Same thing with Angel Reese when she says she's not too politically savvy about what it is when it comes to the election. She's still learning. She gave a genuine response, and I said in that video, I wish more people would actually say that, because honestly, many more people need to say that, because a lot of people aren't politically savvy. They're just leaning towards whatever is trendy or whatever they feel is popular at the time, or whatever they can think can get them views, clicks, and engagement. So I'm telling you, when it comes to these shills on both sides, remember, two wings, same buzzard goes even to the shills, not just to the politicians, or as I like to call them, the politricians. It doesn't just stay there. It's with their shills as well. So how they're talking about Caitlin Clark right here is how they do it even on the other side. And how they do it on the other side with the Democrats, they do the same thing with the Republicans. Again, they operate under the same banner while trying to tell you that they're polar opposites. It's blatantly obvious. That's why all you got to do is just sit back and observe. So again, this thing right here, this situation right here, literally exposed multiple things at one time. One, that her fans are exactly, well, let me put it this way. Her quote unquote fans are exactly who we always knew they were to be. And two, that both sides of the political spectrum will get cold to you if they feel that you have disappointed them, even if you have done nothing to appease them. Like, I don't think Caitlin Clark is getting paid by the right to go out there and do their bidding. At least I don't think, but I don't know. So her liking that post, it should have meant nothing to them. But they exposed themselves by their anger and how mad they got at her because she liked a post, not endorsing Kamala Harris. She just liked the post by Taylor Swift, which means they're also keeping tabs on her. But I mean, it wouldn't be hard because she's a big public figure now. She's a WNBA player, and they propped her up, and now they are upset, and now she got to come out and explain herself, which she shouldn't have to her base that we know who they are. Now Caitlin Clark cannot say out of her mouth she does not know who her fans are. They just explained to us and to her who they are. That is who they've always been. Again, we've been known this. She had to have known this. Going back to what I said in a live about her a couple months ago, she had to have known what her fans were all about. She even said it herself, according to the article. Stop using her name for racism and your agendas and misogyny and all types of stuff like that. So she knows. She's well aware of it. It's just the fact of she's not calling it out that is a problem. And we know why she's not doing that. Because she doesn't want them to turn on her. Well, it's too late now. They're starting to turn on her just from her liking a post. So that's all it took. Now, I don't know if they're going to stay that way or if they're just in their feelings at the moment. But we'll see what happens after November 5th.
But wait, there's more.
I forgot to add some of the screenshots in there, but I didn't add all of them in there. I wanted to really talk about this one now. Some of the screenshots are on the thumbnail. You can see what people had to say in response to her, and it was more so people on her Instagram account, and they were absolutely crazy. But this one right here was probably the most ridiculous one of them all. This person said, "We lost another great baller." First of all, to frame it as we lost almost makes it seem like this woman passed away. That's being very over dramatic on their part. Calm down. This is one of the best I've seen as a woman. I only started watching because of her outstanding skills, which I believe is a lie. But now she's involved in politics of the Democrats. So if she was involved in the politics of the Republicans, you would be fine. Basically, that's what they're saying. Again, this is why I keep telling y'all, they are one and the same. Two wings, same buzzard. Their response, these shills. That's why I love going in on these shills. I have a good time going in on them because they sound absolutely ridiculous. Like the person that's talking right here. And it says, "I'm moving on to something else." Again, it is absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, this is just one of the comments, but this one right here, from what people have retrieved, this one right here really stuck out to me. There's some other ones. Again, if you look at the thumbnail, you can see I screenshotted some of them and put them there. They are really upset because their pawn, yes, I'm calling her Caitlin Clark their pawn because that's basically what she is, has done something that they find to be absolutely egregious, and they just can't simply grasp her liking a post. This is like, I'm not gonna say it's right up there, but remember what happened with Kyrie Irving when he posted a link and how them folk lost their minds? Not saying this is on the same wavelength because it's not even close, because that one was worse. But it just shows you when you do something certain people don't like, even if they look like you, this is how they will tend to act. But I'm not shocked, nor am I surprised.